My sister's husband cheated on her. She has getting a divorce and she asked me if I'm leaving to yes. I replied without hesitation. I've always been a sister-dependent girl, never had a mind of my own. My sister Diana is smart and capable. I just follow her lead in everything. When she married the tycoon Rowan, I married Rowan's younger brother Thorne to enjoy the good life along with her. Now that she's getting a divorce, I certainly don't want to stay in that house anymore. Thorne's eyes blazed with scarlet rage as he gripped my waist tightly. I didn't cheat. I'm not getting a divorce. Rowan, the tycoon who usually graced the financial pages, was all over the entertainment news today, caught with his ex-girlfriend, the legendary White Moonlight Lily. Audrey, I'm divorcing Rowan. What about you? Diana stared at the tabloid headlines on her phone, stunned for a few minutes before asking, if you're leaving. I'm leaving too, I said without a moment's hesitation. Diana wasn't surprised by my answer. Okay, I'll have my lawyer draft the divorce papers. Let us pack our things. She called her lawyer friend, then headed back to her room to start packing. It would take at least 2 days to finish. Our stuff was endless. The tycoon gave us 2 million yuan each in pocket money every month. My husband Thorne was a mooch who lived off his brother, splurging on parties and luxury. And not only supported Diana but also the two of us good for nothings. Thorne at least had a shred of decency. He split his 2 million evenly with me, so I raked in 3 million a month. All household expenses were covered by Rowan, and we used the supplementary card he gave Diana for shopping sprees. I had no use for my own money. After 2 years of marriage to Thorne, my savings had hit 8 figures. I trailed slowly behind Diana up to the second floor. Inking divorce was no big deal. Diana and I aren't biological sisters. In the 2008 earthquake, I lost all my family. Diana's parents, one a soldier, the other a doctor, adopted me. After the earthquake, I developed post-traumatic stress disorder. I hated talking, hated socializing. Diana, 2 years older than me, took pity on me and protected me like a mother hen. Growing up, when classmates locked me in the bathroom and poured water on me, Diana grabbed a bucket and doused the culprit from head to toe. When someone hid my textbooks, she threw their school bag into the trash can. When a classmate pulled out a clump of my hair, Diana would charge force and cut off a chunk of his hair while he napped, leaving a bald patch. Whenever I was bullied, Diana would charge forward to defend me. With her by my side, no one dared to mess with me at school, but Diana was 2 grades ahead, afraid I'd be bullied again after she left. I resolved to go to the same university as her. Thankfully, though I lacked emotional intelligence, I was smart. Coupled with being obedient and hardworking, I skipped a grade in both middle and high school, finally taking the college entrance exam with her and getting into the same university. We even chose the same major, fashion design, because I wanted us to be roommates after graduation. Diana secured investment and opened a private fashion studio. I designed the clothes and made the samples. She modeled them, recruited clients, and made sales. 3 years later, Diana married the investor Rowan. I followed suit, seduced Rowan's younger brother Thorne, and eloped. Thorne was a race car driver. His personality was as wild and untamable as his racing car. For a goody two-shoes like me to seduce someone as devastatingly handsome as him, I needed a special tactic. I decided to fake an accident. I crashed Diana's place for meals every day until, finally, Thorne came over to visit after dinner. As he was about to leave, I seized the moment, accidentally slamming into the front of his car. As he pulled out, everything went black. I flew half a meter away, staring at the tiny scrape on my knee. I decided to play dead after all. No one could prove I wasn't seriously injured internally. Diana rushed over to help me up, her face filled with panic. Audrey, are you okay? Where does it hurt? Sis, my head hurts. My arms hurt, my legs hurt, everything hurts. I snuggled into her arms. Acting coquettish, Lydia knew me too well. She saw right through my fake drama, though she had no idea what I was up to. She stood by me and chewed out her brother-in-law beauty. I hadn't even stepped on the gas yet. Are you faking this accident? Corin's lazy voice rang out above me. I don't care. You hit me. You have to take responsibility. I shouted brazenly, determined to become Diana's sister-in-law. Thorne, take her to the hospital. Rowan finally intervened to end the farce when Diana tried to come along. I pushed her away and feared no one except his older brother. He picked me up and stuffed me into the passenger seat, then sped off into the distance. I clung tightly to the armrest, screaming as the scenery blurred past us. Slow down! Can't do that if we get to the hospital too late. Your knee might have already healed. And then we'd have come for nothing. Thorn teased. My face turned bright red. I shrank back against the door and looked at him pitifully. Damn it. Stop looking at me like that. Thorn cursed fiercely, but his speed slowed down. Thank you, I whispered, my voice choking up. What the hell are you really up to today? Thorn frowned. I had no choice but to tell the truth. I want to marry you. The sincerity in my eyes made Thorn freeze. MPH. Who knew such a tiny thing could have such big ambitions? He looked me up and down again, his brows relaxing. But there are plenty of women who want to marry me. You'd better keep up. Don't worry, I'll hold on tight. My greatest strength was being obedient. I reached out and grabbed the hem of his shirt tightly, revealing his chiseled ads underneath the open black fabric. Thorn struggled to focus on driving. He hastily covered his waist. What are you doing? A faint blush crept up his ears. I looked at him innocently. You told me to hold on tight, didn't you? Thorn cursed softly again. Damn it. Somehow, I caught his attention. Even though I wasn't as glamorous as Diana. 3 days later, Thorn and I got married. I didn't know why. And I didn't care. All that mattered was that I'd moved into my sister's mansion. At first, Thorn refused. But the only condition for him to share my bed was that we live with my sister. Thorn stalled and moved us into his brother's house on our wedding night. Thorn lived a carefree life with no real job. He relied entirely on his brother. So naturally, I did too, and just like that, Rowan worked to support 3 people. Diana and I lived comfortably as wealthy wives, indulging in a lavish lifestyle. I'd lie on the leather sofa that reeked of money and sigh. Being a sister-dependent girl was the best decision I'd ever made. I always knew following Diana's lead was the right choice. Humming a tune, I wandered through our 100-square-meter walk-in closet, sorting through expensive clothes, shoes and bags, custom-made pieces, luxury brand-new arrivals. So many designer items I could barely carry them all. 5 large suitcases were stuffed to the brim, but they only held a fraction of my things. Exhausted, I collapsed onto the floor and called Diana. Sis, I have too many clothes, they won't fit. Do you have any extra suitcases? Are you packing by yourself? Yeah. Didn't you tell me to pack? I hired a professional organizing service. They'll be here soon. Oh, I wanted to cry at my own stupidity. Why didn't I think of hiring someone? I really couldn't live without Diana. Just pack your documents and the jewelry in the safe. They'll take care of the rest. Okay. I hung up and emptied one suitcase to hold my jewelry and papers, as Diana had instructed. What are you doing? Thorn's voice suddenly sounded behind me, making me jump. Packing. Got new clothes that don't fit. I'll clear some space for you. Thorn took off his coat and walked in, ready to move his stuff, which only took up 1% of the closet. Now, it's not that. I'm moving out. I scratched the back of my head awkwardly. Thorn had actually been really good to me in 2 years of marriage. He'd never had any scandals. Except for my special time of the month, he'd fulfilled his marital duties every day. Thorn's shirt hung open, revealing his delicate collarbone and toned chest. He pinned me against the watch cabinet, his hands on either side of me, his muscles flexing. He nuzzled my neck and smiled devilishly. Baby, finally ready to leave? Are we going back to our own place? I'll help you pack. I was ticklish. Shrinking back, I pushed against his bare chest, which was hot and hard. You misunderstood. My sister and I are moving out. Your brother cheated, so she's getting a divorce. Thorn straightened up slowly, his face darkening. So? I'm going with her. We getting a divorce too, I replied softly, staring at the floor. The chest in front of me heaved violently. Thorn's long fingers lifted my chin, his handsome features hardening into ice, his sharp brow bones looking even more unruly. Audrey, say that again if you dare. I'm a coward. I didn't dare. But it was clear Thorn was still furious. My sobbing pleas for mercy didn't stop from night till dawn the next day. I opened my swollen eyes to see a chest covered in scratch marks, the large hand tightly gripping my waist. When he noticed I was awake, Thorn asked the question he'd repeated countless times the night before. Still want a divorce? No, I replied hoarsely, reacting instinctively. Good girl. Thorne rubbed my waist, his hand sliding lower. I grabbed it tightly, my eyes blurred with tears. Begging. I said I don't want a divorce. A reward for being obedient. His voice deepened as he leaned in. Ugh, beast. I have to get a divorce. If I don't, I'll lose my life. After Thorne left, I dragged myself out of bed at lunchtime. Half dead. I'd skipped breakfast, so I couldn't miss lunch. Eating delicious food was one of my few hobbies. The Zhu family employed two top chefs skilled in both Chinese and Western cuisine. Whether it's savory dishes or pastries, I clung to the staircase railing. Slowly making my way down to the dining table, Diana glanced at me. Don't be reckless just because you're young, exercise some restraint. I bit into a chicken leg angrily. I'm innocent. That bastard Thorne forced me, couldn't resist. He forced you? What a scumbag. Let's get the divorce right away. Diana slammed the table, picking up her phone to urge her friend to send the divorce papers that day. I stuffed my face with luxurious delicacies, feeling a twinge of regret. These delicious meals were numbered. Diana and I were hopeless at cooking. Even a chicken tossed randomly in a pot would taste better than anything we made. Shortly after lunch, Diana's friend arrived in a hurry with 2 sets of divorce papers. Are you sure you've thought this through? Yes, stop stalling. Who wants that cheating bastard anyway? Diana took her papers and signed her name without hesitation at the bottom. I followed suit, signing mine's is. Let's leave quickly. I'm afraid Thorne will be back soon. Okay, grab your luggage and let's go. Diana was decisive, standing up and heading upstairs. Madams, please reconsider. How am I supposed to explain this to Mr. Zhu? The butler Richard paced anxiously. He sensed trouble when he saw the 2 madams signing divorce papers and had tried to contact Rowan immediately, but couldn't reach him at the critical moment. As for Thorne, he was useless in a crisis, so the butler ignored him entirely. When Thorne got home and found the house empty, he flew into a rage. Diana took me to the luxury penthouse. We'd bought ourselves 2 units on 1 floor, making us neighbors, but it was practically like living together. We never closed our doors, so we could hear each other's movements and drop by to chat anytime. Over the past 2 years, Diana hadn't been idle using Rowan's name. She'd expanded our private fashion studio, recruited several famous designers, and moved into the high-end market. In the past year, the company had stabilized, raking in money hand over fist, and Diana split the profits evenly with me. Knowing I didn't really like designing, she'd opened a private restaurant for me last year, just a 10-minute walk from our penthouse. I had to admit, Diana had been fully prepared to leave. She always said men were unreliable, and it's better to rely on oneself. This little good-for-nothing, just needed to follow in her footsteps. With her taking care of everything, I could hide under her wing and live in peace without Thorne. I was much more energetic during the day, completely letting myself go when I had nothing to do. I'd go to the private restaurant to eat. Diana had set up an anonymous food live stream for me. I'd go live every time I ate out, focusing entirely on my meal, eating with such relish that it was contagious. Diana paired me with a food co-host. She explained the dishes, and I ate them. The food was visually appealing, fragrant, and delicious. Within a few days of launching, the restaurant, once barely making ends meet, suddenly became a hit with reservations booked up until next month. I loved this job, even though I couldn't cook. Di was great at eating. Sometimes I'd go to the kitchen to chat with the chefs about food, and the viewers in the live stream would actively suggest ideas, and come to try their creative dishes. Our private restaurant gained a large group of loyal fans, and many tourists came specially to try it. When Rowan returned from his business trip to London, he saw the divorce papers on the table and glanced at Thorne, who was lying on the sofa drinking. He rubbed his temples tiredly, taking off his glasses. What's going on? Dice was filled with exhaustion. The butler stepped forward respectfully. Madam said you cheated, so she's getting a divorce. A young madam signed the papers too. Cheated? Which media outlet made this up? Rowan frowned. He'd been away on business the entire time. Photos of you and Lily having dinner in London, chatting and laughing over drinks, are all over the news. How can you say you didn't cheat? Thorne threw the wine bottle aside irritably. Brother, not to mention you. Was that white moonlight really that good? Digging up 10-year-old leftovers to stir fry now. Is it interesting? You got me dragged into this mess. When Thorne saw the photos on his phone, he'd also thought his brother had cheated after all. Lily was his brother's first love. Their relationship had been intense back then, and their breakup had been devastating. Everyone said his brother would never get over her, but no one expected him to get married. Lily? We just ran into each other. She came with a business partner. I treated her like a stranger. Where did this chatting and laughing over drinks come from? Rowan never imagined he'd be getting a divorce for this reason. Really? Thorne's eyes lit out. Then go explain to sister-in-law. A vein popped on Rowan's forehead. She blocked me. You call her? She blocked me too. Thorne had already tried. Where's your wife? Rowan rolled his phone. Looking up at his brother, Thorne's voice faltered. She blocked me too. Useless. Rowan ordered someone to find Diana's whereabouts. Coldly. Damn it, Thorne muttered angrily. Sis, when are we going to file for divorce? I linked arms with Diana in the elevator. She was wearing an apricot professional suit. With big wavy hair and red lips, she glanced at me, her eyes enhanced by exquisite eye makeup. Looking charming and alluring. I'll make an appointment when I'm free next week. That scumbag hasn't contacted me yet. I wonder if he's back. Sis, didn't you block him? How can he contact you? Our other phone number is just for show. Right. If someone really wanted to reach you, they'd find a way. I was so afraid of Thorne finding me that I'd even changed my phone number. You've gained weight these past 2 days. Come to the club with me today. I'll book you a private room. We'll go home together after I finish my business talk. Duh, okay. I'd go anywhere as long as Diana took me. The club was resplendent and luxurious, filled with debauchery. I followed Diana into a dim, neon-lit private room where I'd be bored. She'd ordered 2 male models with 8-pack ABS. One sang love songs in a deep, magnetic voice, while the other danced a striptease in front of median as to stacks of cash hadn't been wasted. I ate grapes fed to me by one handsome guy, while the other opened a beer bottle with his ABS. Just as I reached out to take the beer, the door was slammed open. Audrey. Thorne's cold voice came from the doorway. The lights flickered, making his face alternate between light and shadow, and my heart skipped a beat. Oh no. How did he find me? How could you do this to me? I strode over, grabbing my wrist, his eyes fierce enough to devour, fixing on the 2 male models beside me. I panicked. I was afraid he'd hurt me. I didn't do anything. I was just sitting here waiting for my sister. Check the surveillance if you don't believe me. Rowan, dressed in a suit and tie, walked in behind him. Where's your sister? She's in the next room talking business. Rowan sat down on the sofa. Leave. With one look, the male models beside me quietly exited. Thorne sat next to me. Enjoying the fancy drinks? I didn't drink any. But you wanted to. You reached out for it. I didn't want to. Don't frame me. I hadn't touched a drop of alcohol. I'd never admit to a crime I didn't commit. Audrey, you really outdid yourself. Who knew you had such guts? Who knew you had such guts? Playing hide and seek, hiring male models, drinking at fancy clubs. Tell me, what else have you been up to lately? Thorne leaned closer and closer, pinning me down on the sofa. A strong desire to survive surged within me. I didn't do anything, I swear. This is my first time here. Perhaps my sincere, innocent eyes touched him. Thorne wrapped his arm around my waist, lifting me into his lap in one swift move. His large hand caressed my lower abdomen. Dangerously. Save me, Diana, I screamed silently in my heart, while putting on a docile, obedient face. Thorne was the type you had to soothe. Resistance only spurred him on. Rowan sat nearby with his eyes closed, waiting for Diana. He didn't care about us at all. They both knew that as long as I was in their grasp, Diana would come voluntarily. Baby, you said we wouldn't get a divorce. What about that divorce paper at home? Storm clouds gathered in Thorne's eyes. Which one? Playing dumb with me? No, I'm really dumb. I stared up at Thorne with wide, innocent eyes, my eyelashes fluttering, looking as pitiful as possible. After a long moment, Thorne suddenly laughed. Baby's still so cute. He planted a loud kiss on my cheek. What a pervert. One minute he's furious, the next he's affectionate. No one knew that the wild and unrestrained Thorne was actually obsessed with pure, good girls. He'd had his eye on Audrey, the bridesmaid, at his brother's wedding, but she was his sister-in-law's most cherished person. He couldn't find a way to make a move. He never expected the good girl to fake an accident and cling to him well. Then he couldn't be blamed for turning into a wolf. Come home with me today, okay? Thorn nuzzled my ear, holding me tightly so I couldn't escape. I'm going with Diana. As soon as the words left my mouth, I felt his grip tighten. No. From now on, we'll move out and live on our own. I don't want to. I couldn't leave Diana. Without her, the world felt dim and dull. Thorn smiled dangerously, leaning in. You don't want to? I quickly thought of an excuse. You can't afford me. Our daily expenses are all covered by your brother. How will we survive if we move out? Don't worry. I have my own assets. I opened a racing club 2 years ago. It's quite profitable. Supporting you is more than enough. You're not afraid of a playboy being decadent, you're afraid of a playboy being diligent. What other excuse could I find? Think brain, that still won't work. What's the problem now? Thorn frowned. Being with you is tiring. I don't even have time to sleep at night. Am I to blame for being enduring? My face turned red with anger. Yes, it's all your fault. Okay, it's my fault. I'll try to give you more time to sleep from now on. Thorn stroked my back gently, comforting me. What do I do? I can't get rid of him no matter what. I'm the one who's about to break down. Veins popped on Rowan's forehead. He was completely speechless at the two idiots beside him. What a match made in heaven, to overgrown children. Just as I was at a loss, Diana finally arrived to save me, strutting in on her stiletto heels. Audrey, let's go home. She glanced at Rowan, her tone cold and indifferent. Honey, there's a misunderstanding between us. Can we sit down and talk? Rowan stood up, walking over to Diana. They looked perfect together. Beautiful couple. What else is there to talk about besides divorce? Diana crossed her arms, adopting a defensive posture that refused any communication. Rowan pulled out his phone patiently. These are all my schedules from the London web. The photo you saw was taken secretly. We're into each other by chance. There were several business partners at the dinner, not just the two of us. I didn't cheat when Richard contacted me. I was on a plane with my phone turned off. Wasn't she your ex-girlfriend, your white moonlight? You were grinning from ear to ear during dinner. Diana's tone wavered slightly. I knew Diana actually liked Rowan a lot, otherwise she wouldn't have chosen him out of so many suitors. Of course, Rowan was also the richest among them. That's all in the past. I haven't contacted her in 10 years. I didn't even glance at her. How could I be smiling at her? It was a camera trick with the angles. Rowan took hold of Diana, whose attitude had softened. Honey, I love you now. I wouldn't spare a second glance at anyone else. Sweet talk. Diana pulled her hand away. Sincere words. I rushed home exhausted, even brought you a gift only to find divorce papers. Do you know how wronged I feel? Besides, I'm sick. I've had a fever these past 2 days. Feel for yourself. Rowan took Diana's hand and pressed it against his abs. I was truly eye-open. Was touching the stomach away to check for a fever. So scheming, what? Tempted? You want to touch too? Go ahead. Thorn beside me grabbed my hand, forcing it against his abs. I couldn't resist, so I had to feel him up and down. Rowan was indeed sick with a fever, worn out from work. He dragged himself along without taking medicine, planning to use this sympathy card on Diana. She was soft-hearted, not immune to vulnerability. He had no other choice. The misunderstanding was cleared up in the end. Diana took Rowan to the hospital. I was left in Thorn's clutches. When he brought me back to his villa, I wanted to cry but had no tears. Is there anyone who can save me? I dragged my feet, refusing to go upstairs. First I wanted hot pot, and I wanted to watch a movie. Thorn happily obliged. Although his cooking wasn't as good as the Zhu family chef's, it was far better than mine. I ate happily and Thorn smiled contentedly. After dinner, he thoughtfully made me hawthorn water to aid digestion. We cuddled on the sofa to watch a movie, an artistic action film Thorn had chosen. Gradually, as the plot unfolded, inappropriate scenes appeared. Thorn's heavy breathing echoed in my ear. I jumped, but before I could react, Thorn pounced on me. Disaster. The Thorn kept his promise. He gave me time to sleep. Diana and Rowan made up once the misunderstanding was resolved. The next day, Two of Rowan's special assistants appeared at the hospital, presenting irrefutable evidence to clear his name. We moved back to the previous villa. Rowan couldn't refuse me. This was the only thing I insisted on. He later figured out the reason I'd faked the accident to cling to him, but it was too late. He surrendered on our wedding night, and for the rest of his life, he could only go along with me. Rowan's ex-girlfriend returned to the country one day. Diana and I went shopping, and unexpectedly, Lily walked over in her high heels. "So you're Azang's wife. You do look a bit like me." But Azang is just nostalgic after all these years. He's still infatuated with me. Lily's disgusting remarks were truly nauseating. I couldn't help but throw up. What's wrong with you?" Lily pushed me away in a panic. This time, everything really went black. I fainted. The familiar embrace caught me. "Baby." Dawn's voice trembled uncontrollably. "Audrey." Diana hadn't had a chance to fight back before. She was terrified by my fainting. "Lily, if anything happens to my sister, I'll skin you alive." Diana followed Fawn as we rushed straight to the hospital. When I opened my eyes again, my right hand was tightly held by Fawn. "Baby, you're awake? Thank goodness you're up. I brought you chicken soup. Drink some." Diana opened the thermos, pouring out a bowl of golden, clear chicken soup. "Sis, did you make this?" It smelled delicious, but I hesitated. "Don't worry. The family chef made it." Diana rolled her eyes at me. "Only sis is good to me, remembering to bring me food." I sighed in relief, taking the bowl and drinking greedily. "Of course. I don't want to starve my nephew." "Who?" I drank the soup, not reacting at all. "Baby, you're pregnant." Dawn looked at me gently, then at my stomach. "What?" I was shocked. Sorrow overwhelmed me, and I burst into tears. "What's wrong?" "Baby, don't get excited." Fawn took the bowl, patting my back softly. "How can I not cry? Sis isn't even pregnant yet. I don't know how to take care of a baby. Sis never taught me. All my life, I followed in Diana's footsteps, taking her as my role model. Never in a million years did I expect I'd be the first to have a baby. Here's 10 million yuan. After the baby is born, we'll hire a confinement nurse and an Annie to help. I'll reward you with another 10 million yuan." Men, as the tycoon finished speaking, I hiccuped through my tears. That wasn't a bad deal." Diana shot him a glare. Clean up all your flings outside. If you ever upset my sister again, I'll never forgive you." Rowan took Diana's hand. "Don't worry. I've already sent her abroad. She'll never bother you again." Fern added. "Yeah, my brother bought out her current husband's company. Now they're dealing with their own mess and won't have time to stir up trouble." 3 months later, Diana got pregnant. Rowan was so overjoyed that he sent 380,000 yuan red envelopes to everyone in the group. Celebration all around. Diana was happy to all her life. Audrey had followed her around, taking her as an example. This had forced Diana to reflect on herself every day, afraid that if she made a wrong decision, Audrey would follow in her footsteps. Diana had liked Audrey the first time she saw her. The little girl stood there quietly, looking at her with wet, deer-like eyes filled with panic and unease. Diana had generously taken her hand and promised to protect her from then on. When someone bullied Audrey at school and she just endured it without fighting back, Diana was furious after punishing the bullies. Originally planned to teach Audrey to stand up for herself, but when she saw Audrey looking at her with admiration, following closely behind her like a lost lamb, Diana couldn't say a word of criticism. Oh well, being timid wasn't such a big deal. He'd protect Audrey for the rest of her life anyway. Diana's grades in middle school were average, but Audrey was extremely smart and said she wanted to go to the same university as her. That wouldn't do. For Audrey's sake, Diana had to give up her playtime and study desperately. She couldn't let such an excellent girl end up in a third-rate university just because of her. Diana was under immense pressure, but she never showed it in front of Audrey. She was Audrey's pillar. She couldn't fall. Thankfully, hard work paid off. Diana secretly studied day and night, pushing herself to the limit, and finally got into a top-tier university. Audrey skipped to grades and scored 30 points higher than her on the college entrance exam. After graduation, they started a company together. Diana got married to a wealthy man who loved her, and whom she loved too. Rowan, loving Diana, took good care of Audrey as well. Just as Diana was planning to find a boy who truly liked Audrey, The timid little girl surprised everyone by mustering up the courage to do something bold. She eloped with her brother-in-law Thorne. Diana knew exactly what Audrey was thinking. She wanted to be her sister-in-law. To never be separated. Diana didn't want to be apart from Audrey either. Over the years, Audrey had become the driving force behind her success. Without Audrey, Diana would never have become the outstanding person she was. She felt at ease knowing she'd be able to watch over Audrey for the rest of her life. She promised to protect her forever, and she intended to keep that promise.